said everything that we have been saying for 2 months. I'm not wearing the number 12. I'm not doing, all the stuff that he said yesterday was just absolutely perfect. And Al, I got you one too. Is that right?
Yeah, is that going to fit you? That's a child size, Boomer.
Yeah, I have to say, Al, it could probably fit you, but this is going to little Winnie Doo-Doo.
Oh,
so yes, so nice. That's who that's going to. That's a little present for my granddaughter, and she's going to get it today. So I know that her mom's all pumped up because Sydney is a Jet fan.
Yeah.
So, and her mom's all pumped up because the Islanders have a Game 6 coming up on Friday. I'm all pumped up because I got Game 5 tonight with the Rangers. But I'm even more pumped up about this performance about the Knicks last night. Couple things that I will say. Julius Randle was off to a good start in this game.
Yep.
And I think he was ready to have an explosive game, and unfortunately he hurts his ankle. Now, take him out of the mix for a second. What do you have? You have Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, R.J. Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was a monster last night. Those are all of our guys. Those are 4 guys that we've drafted, that we've developed, that we have brought along here. And all you R.J. Barrett haters out there, he's had 3 really good games in a row. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that he is going to be the next Michael Jordan. I'm just telling you he continues to grow, continues to get better. And for everybody after Game 1 who wanted to get rid of him, or Game 2 get rid of him, I mean, here he comes back and he doesn't hear the noise, which is the great thing. He's not affected by all the negativity that had been surrounding him. So he has a strong game, but it always goes back to the guy who has the ball in his hands 90% of the time. And it goes back to having a legitimate point guard. And Jalen Brunson continues, his ascension to being one of the favorite Knicks of all time, believe it. And he's only been here for a year.
It doesn't take much in recent history to become one of them, but he's done it in one season, yeah.
And then there's Josh Hart. They're going to have to sign him. They're going to have to give him a contract extension because he's not going to pick up his player option. No, I wouldn't if I were him. He's been nothing but just an animal since he's gotten here. He plays defense. He gets rebounds. Between he and Mitchell Robinson on the boards last night, I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And how many balls he tips away. You don't even realize this because we didn't see him that much. And then now that you watch him, you see how active he is on defense. And, I mean, he could shoot. And then, of course, there's Obi Toppin, who gets a chance to play, comes out, hits a big 3, has a big slam. And, the youthful Knicks, I can't even believe I'm saying that. The youthful Knicks.
I know. And,
look great again. And this is the basketball team that we all have hoped for and waited for. And I know it's not laden with superstars, but is laden with guys who like each other, like playing for the coach, and are playing a brand of basketball that includes defense, which is something that we've all been clamoring for years and years and years.
I have spent much of my adult life being embarrassed as a Knicks fan, whether it's the seasons that they have had, if they drop in the draft, screwing up draft picks, Phil Jackson, the coaches, David Fizdale, Jeff Hornacek getting assaulted by Joakim Noah. I mean, there's a million things. Jim Dolan throwing guys out of the Garden. It's been embarrassing to be a Knicks fan for years and years and years. And that's why when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant came here and the Nets were like the talk of the town and all the Nets fans were crapping on the Knicks, there's nothing you could say because the Knicks hadn't put themselves in a position to be relevant and be good and be something to be proud of. And now it's completely flipped. And this is the proudest I've been as a Knicks fan since the 90s. And when people were making those comparisons earlier, I was saying, whoa, chill. And it's still not the 90s Knicks because that was a sustained success and they made it to a finals. We all know how it worked out. But this is the proudest I've been since then. This is including the year, 10 years ago with Carmelo, because that team, I really didn't have as much of a connection with that team, and I never felt like they could really do any damage because LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh had just formed that big 3, and you knew that they were going to come out of the Eastern Conference. So it just feels good for this to have finally flipped and say, yes, like, I am a Knicks fan, and I'm proud to be a Knicks fan. I'm not hiding that anymore.
But I'm just telling you, the 4 guys that have been drafted and have been developed were front and center last night. They were front and center, and they played their asses off. And that's what I love. That's not mercenary basketball. That's the basketball that you've developed, that you've had patience with, you've stayed with. You didn't trade guys away to get other guys.
Yeah.
Whether it be Donovan Mitchell or anybody else who, by the way, had a horrendous series.
He did.
The other thing too is that for the NBA, we've seen now a couple things that we don't normally see. We've seen an 8 beat a 1, and of course, 6 beating a 5 is a mild upset. But we've seen upsets here now. This almost feels like the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, well,
where all of a sudden, a team comes out of nowhere. And, Giannis gets hurt against Miami, and Jimmy Butler goes off.
Yeah, he was Jimmy Butler, just absolutely amazing, both offensively and defensively. And that was the finals favorite. That was the championship favorite, the Milwaukee Bucks, who get knocked out in 5 by the Miami Heat, who had to play in the play-in series. So, yeah, so that's next.
That's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, right. But it really is. It doesn't normally happen in the NBA when the favorite gets knocked out in the first round. It's happened a handful of times, especially when you're talking about a guy like Giannis. And
the Lakers do it, it's a different story because they do have, 2 of the best players in the league when they're healthy, and all they care about is getting to the playoffs. They don't care who they're playing or where they're playing. They lose to Memphis last night, but the fact of the matter is they still are the lower seed, and if they knock off the number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies, now you have another, I guess, technically on paper an upset, but not really an upset when you think about it.
Also, the Warriors and the Kings, that would technically be an upset as well, as they take a 3-2 lead with a Game 5 win. But, yeah, I mean, I did not expect the Knicks to win in 5. I certainly didn't expect the Heat to dispose of the Milwaukee Bucks, and now we've got a series in which the Knicks are favored in the second round to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that Game 1 will be on Sunday. And we'll see what Julius Randle is at that point. Now, it was really strange, the way that it went down. So you see the injury, you know that he turns his ankle, and it looks bad. And then he's laying there, and then he's about to get help from 2 of the training staff guys that are underneath his arms to help him walk off. Then he says, no, I don't need that. Then he walks off the court, and I'm like, okay. Walks to the bench, and I'm like, okay. Like, he's walking, like, maybe he's okay. And he sits down in the chair, and I'm like, is he just going to sit and, like, get a breather and come back in? And then he sits there for a couple of seconds, and then he gets up and limps off into the locker room. I think it was just pure adrenaline. But I don't feel as if Julius Randle not playing in a couple of games against Miami is going to sink them, because, I made a joke. I was at a fundraiser last night watching the game with a bunch of Knicks fans, and, when Julius Randle goes out and they cut to Obi Toppin, and I was thinking Obi Toppin's probably thinking to himself, like, oh, well, that's too bad.
Well, of course.
Like, oh, sorry, Julius. And then, boom, he's just right in the game, confident. He hit a big 3. He's around the basket. He's flying. When he's going up and down the court, he looks amazing.
Yes.
It was just, and contributions from everybody.
That's the key.
Everybody.
For this team to win, that's exactly what's got to happen. And I can't, what was about, I want to say about 6 weeks ago when Mitchell Robinson was complaining that he was out there doing cardio. You remember that?
Yeah, on the Snapchat. He goes, he's like, I'm sick out here doing cardio.
Well, he wasn't doing cardio. He was doing cardio last night, but he also was doing other things. He was a monster last night. He dominated, the paint. He dominated the big men for Cleveland. He just overtook everybody.
Yeah.
That is on, that ascension is a whole nother thing. Like, we knew he was good, but we also knew that he got hurt. He had a propensity to get hurt. And we knew that he was good defensively, and we knew that, he wasn't a great offensive player, but around the basket, they could do the alley-oops with him. He could do the putbacks and all that kind of stuff, that the jargon of the NBA. But I would just say he was a monster last night.
Yeah, where he really excels and helps this team is, he's getting those really tough defensive rebounds to avoid the second chance opportunities for the opponent, and he's getting those offensive rebounds to give the Knicks more opportunities on the offensive end. And when he's on, like he was last night, like he's just dominating both sides of the court. He's just wherever he is, he's getting that ball. It's amazing. You don't want to make a comparison like to Dennis Rodman, but you had that feeling. Like, there's certain guys that when they're around the basket, they're like, that guy's getting the ball. You just know that when it's up in the air. And last night it was Mitchell Robinson was not going to be denied. And the killer instinct that they had, because, we were talking about this yesterday, about the consensus was that the Cavs, were going to go in and win. They were a 5.5 point favorite, and it just, I wasn't so sure that was just a lock that was going to happen. And the fact that the Knicks just completely just tore them apart in an elimination game in their building.
Oh, that team's gonna get roasted. They couldn't hit a shot to save their life.
Terrible. And
in the fourth quarter, they couldn't hit a shot.
I mean, it was really, really bad. And yeah, I don't necessarily care about what Cleveland's saying about their team, but I'm sure they're gonna get killed. But listen, I was a guy who really wanted Donovan Mitchell. I still think that if you put Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson together, that would also work. But he stunk. He stunk in this series. And the opposite, if it would have happened, would have been so frustrating for us. And I had talked about that for months. I was like, man, if they run into the Cavs in the playoffs and Donovan Mitchell goes off and eliminates the Knicks, like, we are going to be going crazy. The opposite happened. Donovan Mitchell was terrible in this series outside of game 1, which was a loss for the Cavs. He's terrible in this series. And the Knicks and the guys that they kept. Now, I know not everybody would have been a lot of draft picks, but maybe R.J. Barrett would have been in the deal. Maybe Obi Toppin would have been in the deal. Maybe Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes would have been in the deal. I'm not sure exactly how it would have gone down, but those guys that were here and this team without him destroyed him. And stuff like that doesn't happen with the Knicks in their history. It doesn't happen. It's usually the other way around. It's what could go wrong will go wrong for years and years and years. So, and now on top of it, you get a huge upset in a matchup with the Heat in the conference semifinals that is favorable. It's just this is a pinch me morning, man. This is really a pinch me morning.
The other thing too is Manuel quickly found his shooting range again last night, and he is so up and down. But I've been preaching patience with all of these guys. I've been preaching patience with R.J. Barrett. There have been many people that work at this radio station that want R.J. Barrett out of here. He sucks. Get rid of him. I was like, everybody just calm down and give some of these young kids a chance to learn the game and to understand what their role is within the team and in the game. And then when Julius Randle's out, or a team goes to double Jalen Brunson, who takes over? It's R.J. Barrett. He's the guy that goes to the basket.
Yeah, well, that I think that's the key right there, is he needs to gain his confidence going to the basket. And then once you see him doing that, and then his shot comes along with it. So if he starts where he's shooting threes and missing, or he's missing these jumpers, then he's just done for the rest of the game.
I mean, they had a couple bad shots themselves in the fourth quarter last night.
Sure, but really just him in the game, when he gets himself going and he gets to the basket and he starts out strong like that, then his shot follows. And he's not going to be the greatest shooter that they have, and we can't expect him to be, but he just needs to be what he's been in this series, which is a really, really good player who is being led by a great point guard. And the confidence that I have watching these games when the ball's in the hands of Jalen Brunson, and we felt this way the entire year, but I have no nervousness with him. And I know this was an easy series and it's not going to be like that as they continue to go through the playoffs, but it's just this calmness where this
is why they went to go see him in Dallas last year during the playoffs.
Man.
The other thing too about him is, remember what he said before the playoffs started, that he learned a lot last year.
Yeah.
That he learned a lot last year playing in the playoffs for Dallas.
He had a great series that
right. And he was going to, and they lost that series.
Yep.
And he was going to learn from that, and he was going to be better because of that. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you about this kid. This kid has been unbelievable. So, I mean, you got to hope that Aaron Rodgers turns into Jalen Brunson. Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.